नमस्कार, आभार, अभिनंदन. Hi Vidyacharan, how are you? Good evening. I liked it. Yes, you have become passport user. I am happy, really very happy. I hope Ganesh's strategy worked with you. You saw the video and it worked. Good. How you are feeling after going through the video? Okay. So technically today we are, good evening Sunil. So today we are talking on the last part of photosynthesis, that is the factors that affecting the photosynthesis. And when I say the last part, I meant to say ki yes, we have talked about light reaction, dark reaction. Bad evening, no problem. Why it is raining there, Pavan? Yeah, you want to take a change? Okay, no problem. मरा 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 कहोगे तो राम हो जाता है पवन. No problem. Good. Bad evening, sir. So today we will be talking about factors affecting, and we have discussed about C4 cycle and CM cycle. That is the second part of the dark reaction, and most of you beloved students have made this question wrong. Which of the following molecules are transferred between mesophyll cells and bundle sheath cells during C4 photosynthesis? And very clearly it was mentioned oxaloacetic acid, malate and pyruvate. So I don't know why most of you only wrote this. Most of you marked it option D, but if you see, it is OA, oxaloacetic acid, malic acid and pyruvic acid, right? So this PEP, malate and pyruvate, and when I say PEP, it is the PEP enzyme, do remember, right? So phosphoenol pyruvate, malate and pyruvate. Carbon dioxide does not transfer, it is released. Okay Pawan, you can't understand Hindi, no problem. When you keep telling mara mara mara, mara means death, it turns to be ram 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 ram. That's what I meant, Pawan. Ismarnika, good evening. So right answer here is 235. And please, if you see this question, it is very important question as far as examination point of view is concerned, because it's quite confusing. Do remember, oxaloacetic acid is not she transferred. Why, sir? Because again you people started same thing. Okay, it's Telugu or Kannada or Hindi or English, please. So oxaloacetic acid is the first stable and formed product in C4 cycle. So answer is PEP, malate and pyruvate. The right answer is option A. So talking about what we are going to talk about, Yogesh, good evening. Extrinsic and intrinsic factors responsible for photosynthesis. When we say extrinsic and intrinsic factors of photosynthesis, we are talking the factors which are being taken from outside and the factors which have been taken from inside. And when I say inside, the most prominent component comes as mineral. When I say exogenous, all the climatic factors play an important role. All the climatic factors. And when I say all the climatic factors, it includes temperature, rainfall, humidity, moisture, everything. So, which are the factors responsible? As I told you, water. This water can be again two, which we take it from outside, either for irrigation, or this water can be rain, or this water can also be intrinsic. Intrinsic means the water that is present with the plants, that is available water, written as capital A, small w, available water. Amount of sunlight, again there are three things: duration, type, that is nature, and more importantly intensity. So whenever we talk about light, there are three things. And when we say sunlight, sir, why sunlight? Anything, photosynthesis can happen in any visible light. It is independent of source. It can happen, it should be visible light, that's it. Means if that light is split, it has to give rise to 7 different colors. Temperature, yes. Temperature can be an ambient temperature, which you call it as room temperature. It can be lower temperature, it can be higher temperature. When I say higher temperature, it can go till 75 degrees, where photosynthesis can happen, and it can be low till 4 degrees Celsius. That is a wide range. Among the most important factors that affect photosynthesis are temperature, light intensity, as I told you, and availability of water. And among these three, that's what I told you, not the duration that hampers, not the nature or the type of light that hampers, it is the intensity, how intense the light is, what is the frequency of it. That is what, among all the three components that matters, is the intensity of light. The most critical component. And when I say intensity, it is like, it is not necessarily how many hours you study. More importantly, with what concentration you study. That is what intensity is. Sir, I study for 4 hours, that is duration. Sir, I study different type of books, that is type or nature. No sir, but I concentrate. When I study 2 hours, I study exclusively 2 hours. That condensed nature, that intense nature is what you call it as intensity. The rate or speed of photosynthesis can vary based on environmental conditions. Do you remember? Maybe single factor, maybe dual factor, maybe synergistic. One factor is enhancing, another comes, it enhances more. One factor is inhibiting, you bring another factor, it inhibits. One factor is increasing, another is decreasing, one factor is decreasing, another increasing. Synergistic and antagonistic. Synergistic means cumulatively, antagonistic means against. So anything, everything that can hamper. Light intensity, temperature, oxygen concentration. So from the entire slide you can see 4 things are very critical. First, temperature. Second is light intensity. Third one is oxygen. Last but not the least is water. These are the 4 factors that are responsible for regulating entire photosynthesis. It might enhance also, it might retard also. But when I say this, it can be a single factor, it can be a blend of both, it can be cumulative also. Are you people getting it? Smarnika, Sunil, Pawan, Jachan, Vidyacharan, Yogesh, all of you are able to understand it. So, the factors first, as I told you, light intensity. As light intensity increases, so too does the rate of photosynthesis. So you can see this. This y-axis talks about rate of photosynthesis. This is light intensity. If you see, as light intensity increases, photosynthesis increases. But after some time, it becomes saturated. It becomes saturated. This occurs due to increased excitation of electron in photosystems. Why? Because you have seen in light reactions, pigment system 2, at 680 wavelength, immediately there is a shoot up, increase in the electrons. That is what the first step is, excitation. So as excitation, the photon rate increases. However, the photosystems will eventually become saturated. Yes, why sir? Because they have a specific quantasomes. They have a specific light harvesting complex, or you can say they have specific antenna molecules which can hold upon a specific wavelength only. They can hold upon of a single reaction center only. As they can hold upon on a single reaction center, so they become saturated by default. Above this limiting level, no further increase in photosynthetic rate can occur. So light becomes a limiting factor. After certain duration of time, the time photosystems get saturated. So this is the point where it has moved to the stable state, and the place where it is to stable state is the light saturation point. Further you keep giving, nothing happens. Photosystems have reached to the maximum limit, they cannot hold upon anything more than that. Next thing comes temperature. Do remember, these things will keep coming, you keep repeating, it will come. And when I say temperature, do remember we are talking about 25 to 45 degrees where enzymatic activities are moderately good, and more precisely it is 25 to 35 only, but you can go till 45 because of the change in the global scenarios environmentally, plants are getting adapted. The effect of temperature on rate of photosynthesis is linked to the action of enzymes. That's what I told you. As the temperature increases up to a certain point, the rate of photosynthesis increases. So earlier you saw light intensity increases, photosynthesis increases. Temperature increases up to a certain point, the rate of photosynthesis increases. You see 0 degree, 5 degree, 10 degree, 20 degrees, and you see, as I told you, 25 to 30, that's what, this is the moderately, and if you see around 35 degrees, it drops down. Molecules are moving faster and colliding with the enzymes more frequently, facilitating chemical reactions. That is what, where you talk about activation energy. However, at temperatures higher than this point, the rate of photosynthesis decreases, enzymes are denatured. Sir, which enzymes we are talking about here? Rubisco, Pepco, ribulose biphosphate, carboxylase oxygenase, and phosphoenol pyruvate carboxylase, Pepco. So these are the enzymes which are very key player in entire business of dark reaction. They gets denatured. So that is where the thing is, up to a certain point. So up till now both the things what you read, it increases, it increases. As the concentration of oxygen increases, the rate of photosynthesis decreases. Oxygen is inversely proportional to photosynthesis. This is the only thing which is inverse up till now. Light intensity, it was directly proportional. It was increasing, but reached to saturation. Second thing, temperature, increased, but up to a certain point. The point where light intensity was limiting, you call it as saturation point. Same thing for temperature also, where the photosynthesis decreased, that was the saturation temperature or the intense temperature where the entire business of photosynthesis can happen. And oxygen, this occurs due to phenomena of photorespiration. You people are getting it? Yes sir, thank you. Because of photorespiration, photosynthesis is inhibited by oxygen supply, because oxygen is a oxygen is a byproduct, whereas carbon dioxide, water is a substrate. It is like when my sun itself starts blaming me, when my sun itself starts dictating me, do this, my confidence will go down. Same thing, oxygen is the byproduct of photosynthesis. And when oxygen itself starts dictating photosynthesis, problem will be very horrible. Try to understand. That's what as the concentration of oxygen increases, the rate of photosynthesis decreases. Oxygen is inversely proportional. If oxygen increases, photosynthesis decreases. This occurs due to phenomena of photorespiration. You see rate of photosynthesis that increase in oxygen concentration. As oxygen increases, photosynthesis rate decreases. So this is the path which is parabola, hyperbola that you have to tell me. The reactions of photosynthesis are made possible by enzymes that functions best between 0 degrees and 35 degrees. Whatever I told has to come in now, writing now. Temperatures above or below this range may affect those enzymes, slowing down the rate of photosynthesis or stopping it entirely. There are few exceptional plants, do remember, who work even at 75 degrees, and there are the plants who exclusively work at 5 degrees also. But biology is science of exceptions, exceptions cannot be examples. They are exceptionally not that great. High light intensity increases the rate of photosynthesis. You see, green color is shade plants, red color is sun plants. So rate of photosynthesis, light intensity, micromole photons per meter square per second. If you see red, that is sun plants, goes, it makes a much more curvy domain. Whereas shade loving, the loop increases but becomes much more fast saturated. So do remember, after light intensity reaches a certain level, see, this is the point. However, the plant reaches its maximum rate of photosynthesis as it is seen in this graph. If you see this, I will try to rub it. If you see, this point, it is the saturation point, whether it is for sun loving or shade loving. After that it becomes saturated, right? Because water is one of the raw materials in photosynthesis, a shortage of water can slow or even stop photosynthesis. Water is life. Nothing can happen without water, because entire metabolism, entire transport, entire membrane stability, entire respiration, entire photosynthesis, entire mineral nutrition, everything is to be dealt because of water. And that's the reason it is called water is life. And this water, again repeatedly telling, which is given from outside, may be exogenous or may be intrinsic, which is available water. Always remember, even a dry fruit, when we talk about almonds, badam, akhrot and all, almond, walnut, cashew nuts, even they contain 0 to 5% water, though it is called as dry fruits. So if you want that they should have a life, means water should be there. That's what is said. Because water is one of the raw materials in photosynthesis, shortage of water can slow or even stop the photosynthesis reactions. Water loss can also damage plant tissues, very true, because mineral nutrition, anything. Plants that live in dry conditions often have waxy coating, that is what, some types of cuticle, some type of suberin, some type of lignin on their leaves to reduce water loss. They may also have biochemical adaptation that make photosynthesis more efficient under dry conditions. Cactus and all, you see leaf turns into thorns and stem turns into green colors. Phylloid, cladoid and phyllocyclad. In plant morphology you have read all these terms. Plant gets adapted to it, and as plant gets adapted to it, entire business is dealt very profusely. Only you talk about only these 4 components, try to understand, I will dance around these 4 components only. High intensity light causes rate of photosynthesis to increase. High intensity light causes rate of photosynthesis to increase. The rate will increase until it reaches its saturation point. This is the saturation point. At the saturation point, rate of photosynthesis remains constant. It will neither increase nor decrease, it remains stand still, and as it remains stand still, that point is called as saturation point. Do remember, this is rate of photosynthesis, this is irradiance level, that is light intensity. And do remember, entire business can happen only in this 390 nanometers to 760 nanometers. 390 nanometers to 760 nanometers. Nothing beyond this, nothing lower than, because below this it is UV, above this is IR. So both are not beneficial or justiciable, right? So do remember. That's why it is said, sir, photosynthesis is maximum in what hour of the time? People talk about 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock and all. Do remember, it is at 3 o'clock. People say, sir, 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, sun is above the head. No, intensity 3 o'clock is maximum. Radiation is maximum at 12 o'clock, but intensity is maximum at 3 o'clock. So rate of photosynthesis will drop down maximum there, because by default that's the reason, it is direct connection. Stomata closes. When stomata closes, CO2 cannot come in. When CO2 cannot come in, exchange offer becomes an issue, and when CO2 cannot come in, the business of photosynthesis becomes a mesh. Temperature. As the temperature increases, so does the rate of photosynthesis. Same thing. It is, so light intensity and temperature go hand to hand. Temperature increases, photosynthesis increases. Light intensity increases, photosynthesis increases. Both become saturated at a point that is called as certain critical time, critical intense or critical temperature. In case of light, only difference is it becomes saturated, whereas in case of temperature, photosynthesis drops down. Whereas in case of light, you might have seen it becomes saturated, it never falls down. This never happens. As the temperature increases, photosynthesis increases, enzyme function at an optimal temperature, and optimal temperature, as you know, is 25 to 35 degrees. If the temperature is too high or too low, enzyme will not function properly. Do remember, it is said enzyme will not function properly, not necessarily yes, enzyme will not function at all. Functionality may degrade. The rate of photosynthesis will slow down or stop entirely, because enzyme is the entire brain. Enzyme is the crux. Enzyme is the flux of entire photosynthesis. If enzyme is out of order, entire business is out of order. Water. Jal hi jeevan hai. Water is life. Water is universal solvent. I know if I ask you people, you will give me all tangential answers. Why water is called as universal solvent? Anybody? Why water is universal solvent? Yes. Why water is called as universal solvent? Water is one of the raw materials of photosynthesis. Water is raw material not only for photosynthesis, for most of the metabolic reactions. Almost all the metabolic reactions in the life sciences is because of water. A shortage of water can slow or even stop photosynthesis. Yeah. And not only photosynthesis, everything will be stopped. Respiration becomes critical. Water absorption becomes critical. Chlorosis happens. Necrosis happens. Water stress causes stomata to close, preventing CO2 from entering the leaf. Simple. When stomata is closed, cells becomes flaccid. And when cells are flaccid, stomata closes. Because when cells are turgid, stomata opens. When you say cell is turgid means water is there. When water is there, it blows up. As it blows up, mouth is closed. And once water is out, it opens. Means flaccid cell is responsible for opening of the stomata. A turgid cell is responsible for closing of the stomata. And this flaccidity and turgidity is responsible for opening and closing. As a result of opening and closing of a stomata, there is a movement of carbon dioxide. And as there is a movement of carbon dioxide, and when it is closed, CO2 cannot enter. And as CO2 cannot enter, means photosynthesis becomes critical. So water stress causes stomata to close, preventing CO2. And if you see this picture very fantastically, this is photosynthetically active radiations, as I told you, 390 to 760, you can see it is a micromole per meter square per second. Leaf photosynthetic rate on a cloudy day, you see no water stress, mild water stress, high water. Photosynthesis, high water. But when you say high water, variety of substances, then why you call it as universal solvent? Universal. On cloudy day, you see what is the status of all the three. Blue color represents no water stress, green color represents mild water stress, high water stress is red color. Cloudy day, you see what happens. On hazy thin clouds, on full sun. Full sun, high water, you see photosynthetic rate. No water stress on fully sunny day, at particular wavelength you see. From here many questions can be put forth. Here on a full sunny day, you can see this on 1000, on 500, and if you see here, full sunny days, summers, 21st June in Delhi, like that state, no water stress. You see, photosynthesis rate, almost it has come water, high water. Water is high, but on full sunny day. Evaporation rate is also very fast. When transpiration rate is very fast, rate of photosynthesis has to become constant. Carbon dioxide consumption, increase in carbon dioxide consumption causes the rate of photosynthesis to increase. Very important. CO2 in consumption increases, rate of photosynthesis increases. Means carbon dioxide is directly proportional to photosynthesis. Why, sir? Because here carbon dioxide is a substrate. Reverse of oxygen. Oxygen is inversely proportional to photosynthesis of oxygen is high because it is a byproduct. And as it is a byproduct, photosynthesis has to drop down. But CO2 is directly. Why, sir? When CO2 is there, photosynthesis goes on because CO2 is needed. More CO2 available means more sugar being made in the light independent reactions, means in dark reactions. Why, sir? Because dark reaction is called as CO2 fixation. You see here, current CO2 level is 300 ppm, means 0.03%. So do remember, whatever percent is there, multiply by 1000, sorry, multiply by 10,000, you will get what ppm is, parts per million. So more CO2 available means, now you see here, dotted line is C4, uniform complete line is C3. If CO2 level is doubled, if comes here, you see rate of photosynthesis, it becomes saturated. So even CO2 also becomes saturated. If it is doubled, rate of photosynthesis will remain constant. Not necessarily if it keep increasing, flow rate will keep going on. No, there is a limit. In order to conserve water, most plants under bright hot conditions close the small opening in their leaves that normally admit carbon dioxide. I repeat, under extreme conditions, to conserve water in desert conditions where leaves have turned into thorns and stem is green color, photosynthetic. If you see opuntia, cactus, under bright hot conditions close the small openings in their leaves that normally admit carbon dioxide. As they do this, the rate of transpiration is reduced. Once transpiration is reduced means rate of photosynthesis is conserved because CO2 is not normally entering. This causes carbon dioxide within the leaves to fall to very low levels, slowing down or even stopping photosynthesis. That's the reason in cactus you will see what will be the photosynthetic product, nothing. They retain the, that's the reason if you chop the cactus and all you will see jelly like substances. Aloe vera, best example. Though it is thorny, it does not have water so much, but same time if you take spinach and all, fresh spinach, palak, you chop it, you see full water comes out. But in aloe vera water does not come out, a gel like substance comes out because water has been conserved, and as water has been conserved, it has become a gel like structure. That's what C4 and CAM plants have biochemical adaptation that minimize water loss while still allowing photosynthesis takes place in intense sunlight. Aloe vera, nothing happens. Cactus, and I told you CM plants, Crassulaceae members, pineapple, bryophyllum, all of them have biochemical adaptation. Daytime, stomata closed, night time, stomata open, malic acid is conserved, acidic domain, right. So question from the previous contest time, modern detergents contain enzyme preparation of, very interesting question, modern detergent contain enzyme preparation of alkylophiles, very important, and winner is, as usual, I don't know why others are not participating, Malna. Hearty congratulations Malna, and you deserve to get one atom session and enjoy it. Nice, continuously this individual is doing great job, others are not participating, I don't know. And today's question is bit easy, okay, direct question it is. Low rate of photosynthesis due to oxygen supply is called, I made it very clear, oxygen supply is responsible to inhibit photosynthesis. What is this phenomena called as? Low rate of photosynthesis due to oxygen supply is called as, yes, just 10 seconds for this, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, I would like to summarize here for a very simple thing. I would try to summarize entire photosynthesis here. What we did it. We started with chlorophyll molecule. From chlorophyll A and B, along with chlorophyll, we talked about carotenoids. They are responsible for safeguarding carotenoids. From here, we move to pigment systems. These pigment systems or photosystems where pigment system 1 and pigment system 2 having a unique property of components, and this unique properties, photorespiration is the phenomena or the end result it is. I am asking what is that phenomena called as? Reason is photorespiration. I did not ask that question. I am asking very direct question. The low level of oxygen, it means photosynthesis is inhibited because of oxygen. What it is called as? So, these pigment system 2, as you know, 680 nanometers, 700 nanometers, they do first thing. The first thing that happens is always is excitation of chlorophyll molecule, and along with excitation of chlorophyll molecule there is always a breakdown of water. This excitation of chlorophyll molecule makes the photon to dance. Simultaneously photolysis of water, as a result oxygen is liberated. It makes this oxygen, when it is liberated, it also breaks hydrogen, that makes NADPH, and this entire business of excitation of chlorophyll molecule, photolysis of water makes a Z scheme, and in this by default ATP is used, and this ATP produce NADPH, oxygen. These are the end products of this entire process, which is called as light dependent reaction or light reaction. This Z scheme has one very important copper containing pigment, or what you call it as, not a pigment, copper containing molecule, or copper containing redox potential generating component, that is called as plastocyanin. This is copper containing plastocyanin. This end product oxygen, NADPH and ATP, more precisely NADPH and ATP goes for light independent reactions, that is called as dark reaction. In the dark reaction, two things are there, C3 cycle and C4 cycle. C3 cycle, because first stable and a visible product is a 3 carbon compound, glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate. C4 cycle is oxaloacetic acid. This takes an enzyme called as Rubisco. This takes an enzyme called as Pepco. When I say Pepco is the first electron acceptor or first CO2 acceptor in C4, here Rubisco is the first CO2 acceptor. Whereas in C4 they are better photosynthesizers, because here even Rubisco is also used, because in C4 cycle by default C3 cycle occurs, but in C3 cycle it is independent. Why this is? Because it has a unique property of its anatomy called as Cran's anatomy, and because of this Cran's anatomy, the entire demarcation or differentiation of the tissues make this C4 very effective, right? Now, going to tell you very important thing here. Sir, this is rate of photosynthesis. Here I give chlorophyll. This is the intrinsic factor. Rate of photosynthesis increases, it becomes saturated. Why, sir? Because I told you chlorophyll molecule up to certain limit it will. Because here whatever is light available, that much is enough. Okay. Now increase the intensity of light. Again after certain intensity of light, again it becomes saturated. Why, sir? Again here chlorophyll became a limiting factor. Again keep giving chlorophyll, again it will become constant. Why, sir? Light becomes critical factor. Critical factor or the limiting factors are the factors whose deficiency alters the rate of photosynthesis. It might increase, it might decrease, right? So you have to be very choosy when the question is asked. Based on the questions, you have to assume what has been asked. Two things cannot go spontaneously. They have to go simultaneously in hand-to-hand manner, right? So with this, thank you all for entire class of photosynthesis that we have, and do remember photosynthesis and respirations are the two, I am not telling any other chapter, they are two very important chapters as far as plant physiology is concerned. So please solve the CPP questions. These CPP questions are very important. It is like, again repeatedly I say, you see the video, no problem, but what is the end? What is the bottom line, right? So all of you please solve the CPP questions for the day, and hope keep watching the videos, keep giving your feedbacks, and very importantly, any doubts we are always welcome. So see you soon, take care of your good health, may God bless you all, Shubh Ratri, Shabba Khair.